All right, so let me apologize to anyone who maybe wrongly thought that we're going to be talking about different MVP that we are about to. We're going to go to what MVP we know in a second. But first of all, let me introduce ourselves. My name is Ola and this is Piotrek, and we are currently involved with this brand new organization R&DT, which you just heard about, or maybe you've heard a couple of days before. But actually, our story goes way back. We've met at university, we studied together, then we moved together to another city, we were sharing an apartment for a while. And the reason I'm telling you about it is because during all this time we shared loads of experiences, different weird situations that, that made our passions, that made us really great team most of the time. One of the situations we had a while ago, it's actually conveniently related to what we are about to tell you today, what we're about to talk about.
Yes, and to be honest, the story mostly is about me because it took place in Wrocław, where we live together, and there was a time when all of our friends have birthday parties, and so I did, because in the spring I have my own birthday party. I'm waiting for the wishes. And I never been a person who likes to party, like this kind of situation. But
But he's pretty good at inviting people and promising parties once he had a few.
yeah. So we've decided I have to do this, and I've invited all the guests to our house, and
Last minute.
yeah, last minute. And whoa, what can I say? Because if you have a birthday party, you have to make a birthday cake. And I am a perfectionist, so I decided to make a cake that is the biggest and most impressive one that I can ever imagine. And I ran directly to the kitchen and I started making cake, mixing all those ingredients, the stirring flours, cracking eggs, and all the stuff. And finally, whoa, it was a complete disaster. I have never made a birthday cake before.
Well, it was really obvious.
And I left all the dough around the walls. And then when I sat there and cried, I just didn't know what to do, because the guests are arriving in 2-3 hours. And Ola came into the kitchen and she was so pissed off, you couldn't imagine. And then she told me that there is no time to argue and we need to make cookies, because cookies are simpler than making a birthday cake. And she helped me, we made those cookies, we cleaned up the kitchen, and then guests arrived and everything was fine, and we end up with a perfect success.
And you forgot to show the mess in the kitchen.
Of course, yeah. That's the mess.
That's the important part. Well, anyways, the reason we're telling you this story is because I believe there is this one guy who might have had the similar situation, and he, kind of translated it to a product development process, and he came up with this model.
Yeah, he called it the dry cake model, and it was Brandon Schauer, a CEO from Adaptive Path. And this model names building a digital product as building a cake, because if you imagine a perfect product in your head, you have those requirements and functionalities that all sprout in your head, and then if you start development process, you have to give it so much time and passion in order to finish it. But in real life, when we develop a product, we often don't have that much time and that much money to make all the ingredients, such as cake base and yummy fillings and impressive icing. So that we pretty often end up having only the cake base. And cake base, it's not that appealing as the whole cake. So, Brandon Shower suggests to make cupcakes instead of cakes, because cupcakes are tiny, have all those tasty ingredients such as icing and sprinkles and fruits and creamy filling, and it's much easier to make. And as soon as you know how to make a cupcake, you can start making bigger things, such as cakes, or even, maybe eventually, someday, try to make your own wedding cake.
And the most important thing here is that once you try to make this cupcake, you already know that you can make this cupcake. So going to another things, to build a cake, to do a wedding cake, you're gonna know that you've got experience and you are more likely to succeed.
Okay, so here's the purpose of us being here. What exactly is MVP? For us, MVP, it doesn't work, sorry. For us, MVP is building a product that have the least features possible, that allows us to deliver it to the market and start testing, because we believe that testing is the most essential part of the process of getting product to the market. And as soon as you are able to show your work to your clients, to your potential clients, you have to test it and gain feedback in order to evaluate it and do fixes that will surely be wants to do.
And the other thing that this diagram shows is how much you are missing if you choose to start building a cake and you start with the base cake instead of making a cupcake. The other thing that makes it so important, actually three things that make establishing MVP so important are, first of all, time. Well, we all appreciate our time and we know how much time is worth. We save this time because we don't come to the point where we develop something that is so big and so well unpredictable that we can't handle it anymore, and eventually we just have to stop. Second of all, in the meantime, if we are able to find out, if we start with the cupcake and if we test it properly, we are able to find out somewhere on the way that maybe this is the time where we should stop developing it. Maybe this is the time where we know already that, well, it's not going to work. So first of all, time. But what time gives us is money. We're also saving money, tons of money for further development of something that probably is never going to work, money for tests that don't really bring real value, because, well, if we give a base cake, like the product that doesn't bring any extra value to a customer, what really are we going to find out? If we give them cupcakes, well, that's a different story. We can dig deeper. And, well, mostly what we get is knowledge, and knowledge gives us time and money. We get knowledge about the product, we get knowledge about our market, we get knowledge because we not always have this time before starting development, not enough time to get to really know our market. And mostly we know our client, we know who we're doing it for, we know what they really want, what they like about our product, and which directions we should go next. Well, establishing MVP is, well, kind of tricky, because it requires all team members to be on board. As we know, with the product development, we get so many different positions. We've got product owners, we've got project managers, CEOs, CTOs, CFOs. We've got marketers, developers, UX designers, graphic designers. There's just so many people, and every single person has got different goals, and that's all right, because that's the whole point. Everybody should have different goals in order to accomplish their work properly. But the problem is that if one doesn't understand the other's goals and the other's aims, all these ideas start crashing into each other, and then finally there is a big crash and, well, the project disaster. I'm sure that every single one of us has seen something like that or heard about something like that. So that's a waste of time, that's a waste of human potential, that's a waste of money. Instead, we could, from the beginning, get our all our team members, sit them in the room and ask them to go through the process with us. And the reason we're doing that is because we want everyone to know what are the aims, and we want everyone to bring a little bit from themselves, and we want to know what everyone thinks about the project and what everyone is coming from. We've got several, well, there is actually plenty of techniques that we could talk about, but we've only chosen the ones that we use quite often or we really like for some reasons. And my favorite one, personally, are personas. The reason I really like personas is because I think that using this tool, we help every single team member to realize, start imagining the certain person, this John or Kate, who are going to be beneficiaries of our product. Then everybody can think about this person, this John, on every step of the process. We want to know the name of the person, obviously. We want to know their age, what they're doing. We want to know what are their passions, what they want, what annoys them, what we can help them with, what they could possibly want from our product, or maybe what they don't care really about. But that's just the beginning. Once we establish who our client can be, we can proceed to another techniques.
Yes, and another techniques is red root, and I think that this one is essential in our process. It lets us sort out the functionalities that our client give to us as requirements, and we try to prioritize them in a manner of the frequency of the actions happen, and as well as the amount of users that will do those action in the new product. On the other hand, we've got task flows. You might be familiar with those kind of diagrams, but this one is reserved for UX designers, and it is all about actions and tasks that users perform in the system, and its main focus is to reveal those steps that users need to take before they will fulfill their goal.
And actually, this is also, as we found, a great tool to convince a partner, or client, or your CEO, project manager, how difficult the project can be. Most of the times they believe that whatever they is going through their mind is so easy, but going through this process, they start realizing that, well, actually one thing leads to another, so maybe we should start cutting off on things instead of adding them on top of something that it seems already too complicated.
And here comes another one. I guess this is one of my favorite tools. Because customer journey map let us map the holistic experience of the user in the process. We need to define the tasks. We need to define the stages of a process. We've got the flow and actual flow of the tasks that user need to take before he reaches the goal. We tend to describe all the touch points, not only the digital ones, but as well all the touch points. And the thing that I like the most about customer journey map is that it let us reveal the pain points in the process that we can transfer to the opposite ones and try to make those things more enjoyable for the people while using our product.
Well, and getting back to the money, because, well, by the end of the day, unless we're doing a social project, it's all about money. Whether it's not losing too much money or earning tons of it. We normally start with some kind of canvas, business model canvas, a value proposition canvas. It's all about getting to know the potential streams of revenue. The mistake that founders of new tech projects often do is assuming that their idea is just so awesome that at some point someone is definitely going to pay for it. They don't know how, they don't know when, they don't know if, they will. Well, it doesn't work like that. Some companies, if they want to do it properly, they write like hundreds of those in order to make sure that they always have another path, in order to know that if one way doesn't go the way they were planning, the other one, they've got another shot with plan B, plan C, or plan D. We need to have a couple of revenue streams to make sure that we have to think as well when we're going to start earning money. We need to know if we've got tools to start using those revenue streams, because sometimes we're assuming we do, but in practice we have no idea how to do it. We have no idea how to execute our ideas. This is obviously the first step. After that, we've got plenty of more work to establish the proper business model for the company, but that's a really good start. Another thing that that loads of people seems to forget about is that even if you do have whole team working on the project, which is so awesome, and it's already you are already halfway there, you always have to remember that the final descendants of your project should be people, the real people that you're doing the product for. Not the random people you've gathered around, not your sister, not your colleagues, not your mother, not your father. They're not going to answer your questions. I mean, they will, but first of all, they probably know already too much about the project. Second of all, they probably already infected by your enthusiasm, so they're going to tell you whatever you want to hear, whether they want to do it or they don't. You need to find real people who are behind these projects. And, surveys on Facebook, they don't do the thing. The only thing you know when you do the survey on Facebook is that there is a bunch of people who is so bored that they've decided to fill in a questionnaire because they're just so bored. So instead, you don't have to run polls like with 1,000 people, 2,000 people. Sometimes it's enough to find 10 people that are real, that are from your target group, and that's all. You can really find much more than running it through thousands of people through Facebook, for example.
And once you've got your idea and you manage to develop it, you can start testing it. And we do believe that this iterative process of evaluating and fixing the ideas is essential for the MVP. Because without it, you will still retain on your cupcake stage, and it's not all about. You always want to start making wedding cakes, and once you start evaluating, remember it's a continuous process, and you have to on and on start testing and probably never stop.
Well, and while evaluating, there is a couple of things that, everyone should remember. First of all, don't ask questions. I mean, you can ask questions, but if you do, you need to know what to do with them. You can't just analyze the answers. You need to have the idea what you want to do with those questions and those answers. You can't just take the question, get the answer, and believe that this is right. people lie. People lie, they don't lie because they want to lie. They lie because they want to see themselves differently than they really are. They lie because you ask them a question and they don't want you to see them in a different way. They want to create their personalities. So better to do is to dig and observe and think about what those answers really mean, and react to wherever they tell you. Try to implement it, then try to see if that really works this way. And well, don't ask questions. The harsh fact is that 90% of tech startups fail. Obviously, none of founders of those startups ever believed that this could happen to them. None of them. They're all going to succeed. They've all got these great ideas. And most of them do. Most of them do have really great ideas. But they make loads of mistakes. And most of them don't really want to brag about those mistakes. So they just, go in the shadow and then maybe one day start something else. But fortunately for us, there is plenty of founders who are kind of happy about their mistakes, and they're happy to share them with us so that we can learn. And we've prepared a couple of quotes from the founders of this kind of startups, and the things that they are saying about them, well, that means a lot, like, we were naive idiots. Well, apparently. But marketing, that's a common mistake. Everybody underestimates marketing. Simply didn't have legs. Well, that can be a bugger. Idiotic customer development, that's not something you would want to do. High ambitions, poor execution, that happens well, really often. Ahead of its time. Everybody wants to think that they are visionaries. Well, it's not so good to be a visionary ahead of your time, because that doesn't really pay off. Too much ego, that's probably a problem in every part of our lives. Well, no market. How can you develop a product without the market out there? And the same goes for people not wanting your product. That's the basic questions you should ask yourself before even starting putting anything down on the paper. Well, and complex and buggy product. I think that's mostly what this presentation is about, and why we want to create MVPs, because sometimes the complexity of the product is so huge that, first of all, our clients don't really know what to do with it. People are lazy. They want something simple. They want something they can learn easily. And second of all, sometimes the complexity just overgrows the producers of the whole idea.
Okay, so now let's start speaking about the successes. I do believe that you know this tool, and we've got those cups for you to share, so I guess we can make a tiny contest. Do you know what application it is in its early stage? It is early sketches of this app. Does anyone know?
Or have a rough guess?
Okay, maybe the next screen would be a little bit easier. Surely. Okay, so let's switch it back. Oh, it doesn't work. Okay, I don't know how to go back with a mouse, so... Oh, there it is. Is it better? Can you see it now? Close one, close one. Lovely. But I'm not sure who was the first one. Wow, congratulations. Yes, okay, we've got 3 colors. Which one do you prefer? The yellow one or the green or? Yellow. Oh, perfect. Okay, so this is Spotify. It's early sketches of Spotify. And I was surprised when I saw this, because it is a sketch of really mature product. You know, when I see all those layouts with columns on the left side and on the right side, and probably the list of titles in the middle of a screen, I thought, wow, they already knew what they want to produce and give to the market. But they decided that those sketches will remain only sketches for a couple of years, and they shared their friends and their families a version of applications such as this. And this is the early stage Spotify, in which you can't you can't even turn on the radio. You can't make your own playlists. You can't even search a song. And this version was set up only for tests. It was their MVP, and they decided to share it with families and friends to gain feedback, and then they gained it and they learned from it, and now they are, well, powerful, I guess. The other one, MVP, that is very interesting for us is Dropbox. Does anyone know the Dropbox story about the MVP? To be honest, they didn't have P in the MVP, because P stands for product, and they didn't have a product at all. They had those idea of sharing files online in the cloud storage, but they wasn't sure that people will use it, and that will use it, and they wasn't sure that the people will understand how it works and what they do with the product. So they decided to make a movie. They made a 4 minutes movie that explained the idea of all the product of the service, and shared it in social media, and the feedback was huge. I guess they didn't even count on such a feedback. People start asking where it is, how can I use it, where can I download those applications? I want it now. I want to share my files online, because they were so excited about the idea of sharing files without the need of USB key or the FTP server. It was like just dragging and dropping the files into another folder on your hard disk. And the other thing that was really innovative was those green checkboxes that now we're all familiar with, because it was their invention, and they started marking icons in Dropbox folders that they are synchronized, and it was synchronized just like that, and it was wow for the people.
Well, we also have this example of the failure to success story. People Growth is a tech startup. It's a platform for employers and employees. It doesn't really matter what it exactly does, because this is not what I want to talk about. It's doing great. The reason I want to talk about it is because of the founder of People Growth and current CEO. He actually wanted to develop this kind of product. I mean, product for this target, for this group of people, for employers and employees, a while back. But what he actually did was he came up with an idea: Tinder for employers and potential employees. Well, this is something that we come across, pretty often. People want to transfer success of popular apps to their markets, to different markets, to different groups. They want to do their own Tinders, they want to do their own Facebooks. I'm sure that you've all heard stories like that and probably tried to work on a project like that. The thing is that the reason those apps succeeded is because the timing was perfect, because the group of interest was perfect, because they met needs of those groups of interest. Tinder is an app for hookups. and they wanted to introduce this app to employers and employees. I mean, is there anything else I need to add? Well, but the CEO of the company, he learned a lot. He had this article, 99 things that went wrong about my product, and the code was not one of them. There was actually 39 reasons why that he found were a problem. But the awesome thing is that he learned. He decided that calling his app Tinder for whatever was not that great idea, and he learned about his group of interest. He learned what are actual needs of this group, and well, this is what he's done. The other interesting fact about Tinder itself is that, well, Tinder was not an idea that was just was built like there was CEOs and other founders thinking about it, not sleeping during the nights, thinking, oh my God, we need to do this project, it's going to be so awesome. The founders of Tinder were actually working on a completely different project, Cardiff. Well, you're probably not going to find much info about it these days, but they were they were doing really right. They were doing researches, they were doing surveys, they were getting to know their customers, and the app was basically supposed to give some extra value to the process of clients buying at restaurants. So they were doing all these researches, they were checking this group of interest, and well, what they figured, I don't know exactly how that happened because that's kind of a secret, but they figured that they found so much information that they came up with this idea for Tinder. Well, I'm pretty sure that it was the hardest decision of their lives probably, but they made this executive decision and decided to drop a project they've been working for months on. They've dropped Cardiff and they've decided to go all the way through with Tinder. And I'm sure I don't have to explain to anyone here that it was a huge success.
Our main concern with MVP is its name itself, because MVP, as we mentioned before, stands for minimum viable product, and those two words are not very appealing to our clients because they don't want their product to be minimum and they don't want their product to be just viable. And there are plenty of custom names that we do agree we should use for MVPs. These are, for example, earliest testable product, earliest usable product, and earliest lovable product. And we do believe that this kind of names could be more appealing to our clients, and it shouldn't scare them as much as saying that we're gonna develop minimum viable product.
Well, we kind of, really often we have to go through this kind of lecture with our clients, with our partners, with people we come across every day working on the projects with us. Maybe, a little bit less anecdotes about founders not listening to what other people tell them. But what we are always trying to do is to educate them because, it is obvious that people come to us with ideas. They really know their markets. They really have great ideas, but they have no idea how to develop the project. However, they think they do. And that's where the problem starts. So we try to explain to them what's the best way to go around it. We have to be pretty diplomatic about it to make it work. It does not always work, but we're always trying because we don't want to do by the end of the day something that is just waste of their money, their time, and our time, because we would really love to be proud of our projects and proud of the effects that then they bring. And what we really would like you to remember, I mean, I'm really sorry if things that we were talking about may be obvious to some of you, but what they are kind of sometimes we think they're obvious to us, but once in a while we get reminded that, well, no, word doesn't work like that. So slap in the face, and then we have to remember that we should go through this talks and this explanation process and this tutorial process every time we would like to work with these techniques. So, well, you didn't tell what we want everyone to remember.
Oh, sorry.
He's in hurry.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, we would like you to remember that testing is good on every type, on every part of the process. So whether you just got the idea in your head, well, the best thing to do is test it first, check it if it makes sense. Well,
yeah, on the other hand, we don't want you to be the I know it all person, because nobody knows it all, and we all agree to learn from each other while working on the project, and we meet with our clients, with all the team members, to share the knowledge and build up something that really will work.
And well, don't be afraid of failures. I mean, failures are everyday thing. They happen to everyone, and we are, by the end of the day, learning every day. So be proud of your failures, because that's just next step to getting somewhere somehow.
Yeah, and we're not saying that you shouldn't aim big, but because you should. But just remember that, well, Facebook wasn't built in a month, and so does another products. And just take those tiny steps and try to not to build a cake at first, but start with a cupcake.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Start with the cupcake. Again.